makes a difference for a project. Now that I put in one 50 amp generator inlet, decided to put another one on the main because I'm doing the battery type situation. So I paid for one of these. It's just a Q250 Siemens breaker. Online I paid $22, I think it was, on Amazon. You can't get them about $13 in a single pole for about $8 type thing if you go to the right place. But being Siemens, I only have a choice of this one or at Lowe's or Home Depot, and they're going to be about $22. So they just charged me, a regular supply house charged me full retail for this. Now, this wire, the same place on the first one I bought at Lowe's, it was $8 a foot, 7 something a foot for 6'3" with ground Romex. Alright, so I went to my other place because doing the second inlet, this dude was $4.20. So if you go to Lowe's, it's twice that, basically twice the half price for that only, but 4 or 5 foot. I got 5 foot here. Then we're going to rework at the regulator. We got to put a 3/4 disconnect, quick connect, and a kind of a street valve stopcock that can lock off. And both of those were not available local, so I'm going to get hit hard with that stuff, just like I do. And the inlet box I want to use, I'm going to have to order that. It's going to be about $70 too. So this stuff gets expensive, but it gets even worse if you couldn't do it yourself. All right, we're getting ready to work on the panel, put the second generator interlock. This one will be for an actual generator outside. As you can see, there's the meter base. Here's the main panel. This will, at least if I use this, will keep the well from freezing up if we put some power on it during outages in the winter and in the summer. So we have the telephone box. We're going to put the disconnect, or the inlet, not the disconnect, right here. And it's not in yet, so it'll be in 2 days before we get that. So we're going to get as much done as we can. We've got to move a 90 amp breaker, got to relocate it, clear the space, put the Q250 up there, mount the interlock, the mechanical interlock, and we got the wire, but there's no place to connect it because the box ain't there. So when we hook this up, we'll get her done. May have some B-roll, I don't know. Well, we got the interlock breaker mounted. We've got the upper panel moved below the lower panel. In that space, we relocated the 2 GFIs right there. What we're going to do now is vacuum out the bottom of the panel, make it clean, make it pretty, and I'll probably use this one because of the wire, just too much to disturb here, so I just use this one to go down to the disconnect via our flexible nipple. And the kid at the supply house said, "You can't run Romex through conduit." And I'm like, well, it's not conduit. And you can. You can do it for mechanical protection. We do this like if you had an unfinished garage, like wood walls type thing, and you had switches down below. You can't run your Romex, your NMB, your plastic wire, your PVC jacketed wire. You can't have it exposed where it can be bumped into and cut and damaged. So the code allows you to use conduits, short distances like that for mechanical protection. That's what we're doing here. Now, if anybody fusses and argues about that, first try to call it a nipple, because you can have a nipple up to 24 inches, and that lets you have up to 60% wire fill. And that's another little thing, like in between the meter base and the panel, you'll see a little short nipple there without a gasket. By the way, I did not do that. That's the way it was done. It's not sealed tight there at that, but it's supposed to be. But anyway, that would be a nipple at that point. And some people say, well, if you're doing mechanical protection, then you could use the flexible conduit, but it has to be the metallic spine stuff. And it's like, well, whatever. I want to use the flexible only, and I'm going to keep it to 12 inches. That little drop down we're going to use, you'll see a bit later. Anyway, it's tucked in there, there's not a way to physically impact that, I think it'll be okay. And the question is, will it pass inspection? This is the back side of the panel. We need to clean it off before we put it up. But what we'll do is we'll put our screws on this side. We've already kind of chamfered them down a little bit. Maybe I might hit that one a little bit more. Front side. Here are our 3 holes for our lower piece, and then the upper piece for this Siemens panel. Then what it does is it sits right here, and I'll put Loctite on this side on the barrel nut, a little super glue on the other side, cyanoacrylate, make sure it sits flush on the back and it doesn't want to walk out, so neither side wants to come out easily. Well, we got it mounted. See, there's a little bit of glue for the back side. It doesn't say that on the instruction, but we did anyway. Little Loctite here, and there is the mechanism. Zoom in on that. See, the way this works is when this is down, the generator breaker cannot be turned on, and it's actually a disconnect, not really a breaker per se, and we have the main free to move up here. So we move this up to the top, flip that breaker, generator, and in order for this one to go up, it has to be turned off. I'll show you in a little bit. Now you see right here, see a little bit of that blue Loctite in there, so we did Loctite them. We don't want them to come off. We wipe this down. What we'll do is we'll take and put our instructions up on the panel, or maybe we'll do it afterwards, but we got to take this and paper that out, we'll sticker that out, and then move the panel down to here and found there, and you know, obviously because we rotated them down. Alright, let me show you how the interlock works. Now we don't have this connected, and you see us turned off. We also have the main off. So you can have them both off at the same time. See, and this blocks, so if I want to turn this one on, see, I can, because this lets it, but I can't turn this one on. So we're going to turn that off, let that fall down, and with the 2 panels off, turn the main on, and these 2 bad boys on. That's it. Now we got to come down and put our box there as soon as it comes in. Now there's one more little detail we need to look at, and that is that there is supposedly a requirement that this breaker, being the generator breaker, can't come out. Now if this was a screw-in breaker, that would be fine because it'd be on a commercial panel. It's not. So the question is, how do we do this? Well, the instructions said, okay, you got to strap the top 4 together. And I said, well, I'm not really seeing that. Doesn't make sense to me. I've never seen that. And it won't lay right here because there's no space in here that I know of that will let you do that. So I looked it up on the Google machine, and it had one kid had a picture of how he did it, and he strapped these 4 on this side, which wouldn't work to me because, see, these things snap in this way. You put them in that little plastic part of the panel, and then you push them down, which means these push down. So what I do is this is what I came up with. I think it meets the code, although it looks kind of hinky. See, I've got 4 wire ties there. 4, not 2. See how we come across there? And if we go into the corner, we see we've got, let me get down here toward the bottom. See right there, you can see that little bit of a bus right through there, that copper bus, because there's a space right there. You know, I think we can do that without pulling the breaker out of position. So I think in this position we're in as tight as we're going to be. So you see we got
If you like this content, please go to calldeltosell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you. Thank you.
One through that hole. Actually, we're pulling it this way. pulling this one this way, pulling that one that way, and this one down. So I think that meets the requirement, because you're not going to be able to pull this out because it's going to try to stretch that wire tie that way. It won't do it. All right, well, we got it blown out, tried to vacuum it out, but we didn't get behind the wire, so we brought a air nozzle out. Hey, look at this. See that hole? Well, apparently somebody didn't put a plug in it, and that's how we got our little dirt daubers and whatnot kind of get in it. Of course, it doesn't seal perfectly, but you can see some wasp nest marks there. We're going to fill it up with a plug. Let me show you something else. You see this right here? See these? This is where I trimmed off with the one panel break. See those deep marks? That is Loas no muy bueno. Okay? You see some of that because that's where it was clamped down. That's good. But see how hard they cut around that? They damaged the wire. That's no good. That's no good at all. Well, I've taken the can apart because, well, you have to in order to get to the screws when you mount it. I put a 90 on this end. I didn't want to go with a 90. I wanted to come with straight into the top. So we've got that ready. Now we're not at the bottom. We're up from the bottom where the knockouts are. So we got a 90, and then we go. So the conduit is measured, the mechanical protection measured from here up. So we got her started. We decided we would go ahead and go down to the side and come in the side. That's okay. That's all right. We can do that. I just don't like going through that 90. But you see, we've already stripped off our piece up here. What it does is it allows us to trim our NMB. Now remember, you're not allowed to take NMB through conduit as a conduit run. This is going to be officially a nipple. I think we get nipples down to 24 inches. It could be a nipple at 24 inches. We're just taking it down for a little weather protection on the wire, and we'll put the box as close as we can get to the bottom without interfering with the lid. All right, by the way, the breaker is off, the main is off, the house is dead, but those two little aluminum heads there, they're going to be hot, but the copper bus is no. So we've got it worked in here up around to the 50, and the ground's up there. Next step is working the box in. Now I've pre-stripped this, but I haven't broken the bundle out, and we do have our insulation or sheath that keeps them together. It's going to come through the 90. That's not going to be a pleasant experience, but again, we're not running this through conduit. We're running it through a mechanical protective nipple. Alright, so we've got a little bit of insulation of the sheath showing there because we don't want people to think we're trying to fake out THHN because it's not labeled for that. It's labeled as a bundle, and you see there's no markings on the cable there, the actual individual wires. So we'll trim that bit off a little bit and we'll put the box on it. Then we'll raise the box, hammer drill it in with some screws, and be done. Vacuum that dust out, you filthy animal. You know, trying to get that box perfectly vertical on brick is about like rocking a rhyme. You know it's tricky. But we've got a little bit. Let me kick to the side. See how that's up against the brick? We cut that short. Well, we made it long, and we raised it up so we wouldn't hit the door. We wouldn't interfere with opening the door. That's a big no-no. But still, focus, camera. But still give it enough slack what pushes up against the brick just in case they want us to strap that down. We don't want to strap that down. This is perfectly fine like that. Now, also notice that the washer goes on the outside of the box. we've got enough slack to get this in. We're going to hook the ground up. We did have to take the inlet off of the plate because we can't get to the white wires screw, which was a pain in the took us, but we're just getting ready to button it up. Well, we're going to finish this up. As you can see, we're done, tucked neatly up under there. Well, we got to get that rest of the tools up, but there we are. Appreciate you watching. Hit the like, subscribe, notification, do all the stuff, leave a comment, do the stuff you need to do to help me increase my reach, if you will. Thank you very much. Well, it's inspection day, and we have the indoor panel. This is for, let me get an angle on this. This one is for the potential solar unit, maybe one of the Ecos, if it's get at least 10,000 kilowatt hours, or E10, something like this. And this would be to keep the water heater going and some basic stuff downstairs. So, but it won't do the heat, it won't do the upstairs, it won't do the internet and that kind of stuff. We did pass it, the little blue sticker right there. What we've got outside, we also did a second one on the main panel. And what the one on the main panel does is it allows us to feed this. We could actually have, without solar panels, we could have a solar system in here, battery backup only, and run it on bypass outside with a big generator. And if it does that, what we're able to do then is to then take this off of bypass, which will come right here. There's a port right here we could then charge. This is 120. We could charge that unit back up for downstairs and then take that back off a generator set so that we have a little bit more power available for other things. So that's 2 interlocks, main panel, which that one will allow me to keep from freezing up my pump outside, hopefully, if we were to lose power in the wintertime. And I may go ahead and add a second panel, a second outdoor panel in place of a little disconnect thing for the 2 HVAC units, so that I can put a bypass there and put another 50 inlet there, because if I get a generator large enough, it'll have 2 50 amp outputs, and I can run one on the main panel, separate the sub panel for the HVACs, run 50 to run it. Maybe run both. Point is, how much gas do I have? I haven't finished that particular aspect of the job.